All right, guys, so welcome back to ATS. So we're going to do some hot shotting today. Got the old truck out. We're starting out in Vegas. This is where my home garage is. So every time I switch trucks, it brings me here. What I'm going to try to do is kind of remember or write down where I last left off. That way I can try to quick travel those locations when I'm switching around trucks and stuff. So yeah, we're going to be doing that. We got a little Coils here. We're going out to Bakersfield, California. But before we get into our run, I want to show y'all some stuff. So 1.60 released yesterday for ATS, and ATS is probably as a video recording in the next day or so, I would assume. So they've changed a few things here in the new update, and I just wanted to go over a couple of them real quick. Well, the first one I'm going to go over is going to be in here, and they changed the rest stuff. When I loaded the game up after the 1.6 update, it already had this. I think it was a mandatory brake rest simulation was turned on, but the rest state, one of these two was off and the other one was on. I can't remember which was which. But anyhow, I went ahead and turned the other one on. We're going to run it with this one on this run today, and just kind of see how it goes, because it changed some stuff inside the truck as well, as far as our kind of like our heads-up display. So I want to kind of show you that. Everything else that I've noticed is pretty much the same. I haven't noticed anything different. I do still have traffic offenses turned off. I just don't feel like fooling with them. Because I forget to turn this off and on all the time if I change it. So I'm just going to leave it alone. So that's pretty much in here in the settings. And of course, there goes my phone vibrating. I don't know what that is. But so anyways, let's go ahead and hop back in the truck, and I'll show you what's inside the truck real quick, and then we'll get riding. If you see on the right above my mini map, the new thing they added was your load. It's got an image of the load, which actually is not the right image. It says coil, how much the weight is, what I'm getting paid, and then where I'm going to and when they expect me. So they expect me in 7 hours and 36 minutes. That's real game time, not real life time. At the bottom, I noticed that looked like it changed a little bit. I'd have to go back and look at some other videos, but it looks like they added in a little extra there. But I could be wrong on that part. Everything from there up is still the same. That came in 1.59 if I remember right. So the truck information, truck trailer, and cargo information. I did try to repair my truck. The 3% damage is just regular wear and tear. So there's no point in replacing stuff if I don't really have to. And then my money's at the top. And if you've ever wondered, on the right, it says, it's got the little arrow thing /7 days. So that's your, the past 7 days. My company has made $20.5 million. So that's why quick traveling is not a big deal with me, because money's not really a problem on this profile. So anyways, we're going to go and get started and get going. We got about a 250-mile drive, so it's not too bad. A couple of things that I noticed when I set this up was when I was cruising over here, my brakes were very sensitive. I noticed that the throttle is a lot more sensitive than it used to be. I won't know about clutch until I get back into the semi truck and see how the clutch feels, but the accelerator seems more responsive, almost kind of too sensitive. I mean, I'm just barely floating my throttle. I'm barely pushing on it, and I'm doing 15th of the parking lot here. So it's kind of a nuisance here. And I noticed the brakes were a lot more sensitive, so I had to turn down brake sensitivity and all that stuff. So yeah, kind of know some of that stuff. Actually, I haven't been on trucking in several days. I know I've been uploading videos, but those were ones that I'd kind of recorded, you know, smash grab of recordings.
Turn left.
My brakes do feel better. I turned down that sensitivity, and that made a little bit of difference. Anytime there's a new update, it doesn't matter if it's ATS or ETS, I recommend don't book a load, get your truck and drive your truck around in the city or something like that a little bit. I mean, Vegas is perfect because there's a lot to drive around and sightsee anyways. But just kind of ride around and see how your stuff feels, how your brakes, your throttle, your clutch, anything like that. And that way you can go and get it fine-tuned before you get a load, because there's nothing more annoying than trying to run a load and you're constantly hitting escape and readjusting a setting and all that. easier to do it when you don't have a load on. So, but yeah, I haven't done much trucking. Been doing some other stuff. My feet have really been giving me problems. A lot of the throbbing and hurting and
Keep left.
other shenanigans that I deal with. Um, I've been just kind of dealing with that.
Turn left.
Hadn't recorded anything in several days. I think my last recordings was doing Car Mechanic Simulator 26 demo. If you haven't checked that out, I recommend checking that out after this. There's already a couple of them up as of recording, and there's probably more after this video, or around that. So far I've recorded about 4 videos on there. First one was just kind of glancing around and showing you guys what I've noticed, and even noticing some new stuff along the way. And then the second, third, and fourth video is 1 car each that they give you that are basically like story missions for doing repairs. On the first video, we did look at the pickup truck we own. That's one thing I think is kind of cool. We started out by owning an old raggedy pickup truck. Not a fan of the old raggedy truck, but it's a truck, and it needs a lot of work. And the one thing I noticed the first time I played the demo was that the
Keep right.
stay in the middle lane.
Turn right.
First thing that I noticed was that
Turn.
the stop. Okay, maybe I need to turn my brakes and stay back up. There to go now. But just having a vehicle you own and one you can drive around, I'm curious of how, once they release the actual game itself, how's that's going to tie into going to barn finds and stuff like that. I showed that there's a taxi stand there, and you can actually take a taxi to any of the places you want to go on the map. I mean, no one available because it's a demo.
Keep left. And then
That was pretty neat. That truck, it needs a lot more work that I haven't really got around to. And
turn left.
I'm planning on doing a final video, probably a final video or maybe 2 videos, depends upon how long I spend on the truck, but kind of just messing with the truck initially, but I also want to do a video showing off tools. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do that yet. I may do like a tool showcase where I'm going to buy all the workbenches and kind of throw them out somewhere in the shop, and just kind of see what they do. A lot of them you can purchase, but you can't use them in the demo, so it's kind of a pain. One that I remember was the repair bench. So I was like, oh, I'll get the repair bench. I can repair these parts. It saves me money. So it's a pretty cool demo. I'm liking the iteration. It is on my wish list, and I do plan on buying it at release. That's how much I like it. And I'm real skittish with buying new games nowadays. I've gotten burned in the past with games that either ended up not liking, or they were just so buggy that they weren't worth playing. And one that I'll give an example will be Alaskan Road Truckers. I think that's the name of it, the exact title. But the idea and plan and format of how that game was designed, I love it. They put a lot of things in there that people have been asking for ATS and ETS. One of those features is being able to get out of the truck and walk around, especially like when you're getting fuel. One thing that I'm not real wild about, but I mean, it's kind of how they built it, is the when you're, so that you have a I guess I should call it a hunger meter, where you got to eat. And I'm not opposed to eating, but in a game it can be kind of a touchy thing. So when you go and get fuel, you can go in the convenience store and you can buy food, but you got to remember to put it in the refrigerator when you get back to your truck, because if not, it'll spoil. And so you're gonna have to deal with all that.
Exit right.
But the caveat for me with that game, that the reason that I ended up getting mad and uninstalling it, was they have like intro missions that you can do. And the first time I did it, the intro mission did okay, but then when I went to deliver my trailer, I pulled up and I parked in like 3 or 4 different areas, and they want you to drop the trailer and then come back and see dispatch, and you get paid. the areas that looked like they were the right places to deliver wasn't accepting it. I'd drop the trailer and I'd go back up there, and then the final place that I was trying to use, um, it wouldn't even do anything. Oh no, it would do something. I could get out of the truck, but it put me out on the passenger side. But then I couldn't manipulate the airlines, the landing gear, which is another feature that people wanted for American Truck Sim and Euro, is they want to be able to get out of the truck and actually physically hook up the lines and crank the landing gear and all that stuff. We can bypass the scale, nice. So it just had a lot of ins and outs that I didn't care for, and I got mad, and just out of anger, I just said the heck with it, and I just fully deleted the game or uninstalled it. I mean, I still have it in my library, I still own it. And if the part of the reason that I went ahead and just uninstalled it and all that stuff was because I knew that if I kept trying to go back in there, I would just get madder and madder at the game, and I figured it was just better if I just didn't continue doing that. And oh, that's right, it's feeling 60, well, 55 in California, 60 here. So I just figured I'd uninstall the game and give it some time, say 6 months, maybe a year, and see what they do with the game. Well, all the news that kept popping up for that game was, you know, new DLC and winter content, you know, Christmas stuff and other holidays at times, and it didn't seem like they were fixing any of their stuff. So I was giving it even more time. And then I was talking to a friend of mine, Nakara. She also owns the game and plays it from time to time. And I said something to her about, you know, I might install the game again and give it a try. This was about a year ago. And she goes, yeah. She goes, you thinking about giving another try? And so, well, you know, see if they fixed any of the bugs and issues with it that I had before. And she goes, well, I hate to tell you, they haven't fixed it. I'm like, so, you know, it's just one of those things. This is like, well, what do I do? So I decided not to reinstall the game because I didn't see no point in arguing with something that's still broken. So, but I know that was a long drawn out deal, but that's why I'm reluctant on buying a lot of new games. I usually will try the demos. The games that I'll buy new are games that I've already played. You know, Farming Simulator has been a game that I've enjoyed since I started playing Farm Sim 17, and that game, and that's the one I'm doing some videos on right now. I had so much fun playing 17. I've got, I don't know, 13, 14, 1500 hours in that game, and I know that's probably not a scratch to some of these guys that, you know, either do it for a living on YouTube or Twitch, or, you know, doing modding and things like that. But I had a lot of fun playing the game, and I did a lot of mod tweaking or modding. I don't really consider it modding because it wasn't truly, you know, starting from scratch, but I did tweak with mods quite a bit. I spent a good 3 to 6 months just trying to do a factory script onto a trailer, and it was one of those things that it about took everything out of me. I almost quit a few times. I had to set it to the side several times so that way I could wait on over anyways. But it just, you know, got to be one of those things that, you know, I wanted to get it done. I just had to take breaks from it, and I learned a lot back then. I think tweaking mods back in those times were a lot easier. Farm Sim 19 brought a whole different change to the engine system when it came to vehicles, and, you know, just simply turning up horsepower or adjusting the speed, it turned into a real nightmare. I have a spreadsheet that I got back from back when I was doing FS19 stuff, and it translates all the way into FS25, even 22, as far as doing car stuff, you know, and, you know, engines. I mean, it works for tractors, trucks, cars, whatever, but you got to set the torque scale and everything right, and it just became a big pain in the rear end, and it actually kind of stopped me from modding for a little while. And I kind of stayed away from it for the most part, but I did still mess with like fuel capacities, fuel types, doing textures on trailers, which weren't that great of textures. They were just kind of wraps that of images that I had gotten offline, um, which I'd done in 17 as well. I even did some trailer stuff for the Nick the Hit group that I was with. I'm still with the group, but I don't think he's streaming anymore. He got pretty mad at YouTube, and I think he's lost a lot of interest in Farming Simulator or just streaming or gaming. I'm not really sure what's going on. I'm not really sure what all's going on with him, but you know. But at one time, I told everybody, I said, "Hey, I said if you want your logo on the trailer, you know, send it to me, send it to my DM, and I will put your logo on the trailer." And we all agreed on a trailer that we all liked really well, and I did some modding to it and some changes, and pretty much made it my own mod, but I included everybody in it. I have my own variation. The first few ones I did were wraps, and then I started learning how to do design configuration and things like that. So yeah, Farming 17, I had a lot of fun playing and learning how to mod and things like that. Farming Simulator 19, I've got well over 1,000 hours in that as well. And I had a lot of fun playing the game, but the modding wasn't as exciting to me. I didn't care for the, what they call it, the company G, I don't know what it was. FS17 had the factory script, and I think that was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And what they came out with in 19, in my opinion, was garbage. And everybody that I personally know and talk to and hang out with that play those games or plays that title, they hate it. They hate it with a pure passion. We got to exit up here, lane over. I think we can do this 2 lanes.
And then exit right.
So yeah, when Farm Sim 22 came out,
Right.
I tried playing it. I tried to enjoy it, and it was a decent game. It just, I was having a hard time getting into the game, and I'm not really sure why, but I really didn't dig my teeth into it until I got with running with Nick the Hick and those guys. Not only did we multi-stream, live streamed a lot. I did live streaming at the same time Nick was, and I think even Nakara was live streaming at times, and some people were recording at the same times depending upon who was here or playing. But then even after those streams and stuff like that, I started hanging out with, you know, that part of the group, and we'd start doing a lot more farming and stuff like that. I met a lot of cool people through Nick, you know, and that I still talk to and hang out with to this day, at least online, at least. But at the end of FS22, that last DLC, I think it was a Farm Productions mod or something like that, I had it in my wish list. I was interested in purchasing it, mostly just to keep up with all the DLCs because of the time streaming and stuff like that, and do a multiplayer just to make sure I had everything everybody else had. But the how do I explain it? That mod, in my opinion, was, or not, it was a mod, it was a DLC. It was broken out of the box. I watched several people doing YouTube videos on that particular mod or DLC. I don't want to keep saying mod, and they had nothing but issues with it. One of the machines, it had 2 fill types, but if you put one in, you couldn't put the second one in. If you sold it and put up another one and put the second, you know, input into it, then you couldn't get the first input into it. And it was just, you know, and it was out of the box. I mean, it was on that way on release, and I think some of the videos were from early release. Some of these guys get, I don't get that stuff, obviously, but you know, they just, I don't know, I have a hard time explaining it, but it just, to me, it felt broken out of the box, and it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth when it came to Farming Simulator. It's just, you know, if you're going to release stuff, if that is that broken, you know, and even though you knew that it was broken before you even released it and didn't even attempt to fix it. Now, I think that they did do some patch updates, obviously, and it got fixed, and that's good, but it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and I wasn't having a whole lot of fun with the game series anymore like I was before. So I just kind of kind of fell on the wayside with it. I wasn't even planning on purchasing FS25, at least at release. I was going to wait and see how the game looked and acted. But the game ended up being gifted to me by Farming Sins, which is another guy that I stream with. Me, him, and Papa was doing a lot of GTA and some trucking and stuff like that. We even did Farming Sim. But and I appreciate him, gifting that to me, and I feel bad that I haven't played it that much. But I've noticed that a lot of the people that I hang out with are not really playing FS25 that much. I've only got maybe 2 or 3 friends that are actually digging their heels into 25. I know some of you guys are still in 22. AK, I know you're living way in the past. You like to go back yonder, but no, that's fine, man. But it's just one of those things now that but I'm still going to play the older titles that I enjoy. FS17. I'm currently doing that series on Jordan's Farm. I wanted to do a series on that a long time ago, but I was working and it was hard for me to keep a rolling pattern of videos. But now with me not working, even though I've been kind of dealing with some health woes, I'm always at the computer playing a game anyways. But my feet problem kind of slowed me down with using the steering wheel and pedals. That's the reason I talked about maybe having separate files where I can use my I got to turn my Jake on, cooking down this hill. But so yeah, I just I was like, I got to thinking about it, and part of this is due to Kiwi plays a lot of 22. He really hasn't dug into 25, and I know that I don't even know if AK even has 25. I know he has 22 and some other older titles, but it's like, I'm just gonna play the older titles that I enjoy because they're fun to me, and
Keep right.
try to showcase a little bit of that of what I enjoy doing. It's not that I'm trying to show off the map and per se. I mean, Jordan's Farm is a great map, and I think it was well built, and unfortunately it was released about the time that FS19 came out, so it didn't really get a whole lot of attention. So
Keep right.
um
Then turn right.
so there's that. I know there was some YouTubers out there that did first looks and stuff at the map, but that was about all they really did. They just did some first looks and stuff. Or seen that guy was sitting there. What, are you just twiddling your thumbs, or I don't know if they got a red light or what their deal is, but go ahead and get moving.
Continue straight.
So yeah, that's kind of one reason I decided to get back into farming, was just go play the older titles I enjoy. I know most people would rather see the newer titles. They all want to see the newest gameplay out there.
Continue
And
straight.
I apologize, but as much as I would like to do all the new games out there,
Turn left.
I just don't have the budget for that. We're not all of us are made in money and all that stuff, and so I still play a lot of older titles, and there's a lot of titles that I want to showcase. I've talked about maybe doing some Satisfactory. Actually currently in the middle of a multiplayer. We got a server going. One guy set up a server, and there's been about, I don't know, there's about 5 of us so far, I think, on the server playing Satisfactory. It's a really fun game. I've been kind of bored in the beginning because I didn't know what was set up, what's been done, all that fun jazz. It's still been a lot of fun playing that.
And then keep right.
Let's see, how do we get in this joint? Well, this is like one of the parking lot
And then
instructions.
turn right.
Where do they want this?
You've arrived. It's been my honor and duty to see you through this mission.
Down here. Facing that way, of course. Sat here and kind of lined up to back in here. So let's back up a little bit. Hopefully I don't back into anybody in the street. It's nice and gentle. Get up close to this building. Come on, drive. Drive. There we go. Oh, Forward. There we go. I said this game does some funky stuff sometimes, but it is what it is. So yeah, like I said, I'm probably going to do some more other older games that I enjoy playing, you know, and let you guys kind of see what I dig into at times. And they may be games that you might find interesting, or you might be wondering why the heck I even play them, or yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so we are here. I'm gonna just go ahead and shut. The idea was to shut the engine all the way off. There we go. All right, we're going to shut down the engine. We're going to go ahead and get this delivered real quick, get this part over with, and then we're going to look at uh, our rest thing. I may leave it on for another run just because it's still going, but I'm eventually going to turn it back off because it's just not something I want to fool with. So that was our load. I actually didn't look at the numbers. I apologize. So we go back in the truck. You can see on the mini map, it's got two different things now. So they got a bed thing on here with a little meter, and I'm going to assume that is for like a break time. Wish it kind of was more detailed. I'm going to have to dig into this to learn it a little bit better. Honestly, I'm not going to really use it, so how much I look into it's going to be questionable. But so when we started out, the little parking icon, hard to see because of the map. Let me see. There we go. Do that for the moment. So where the little parking icon is, we started out with 14 hours. In the US, we have a 14-hour day. About 11 hours of that is driving. So I think that's where they're kind of emulating it, but I think we take a 10-hour break. But I know that if you go to a sleep trigger, and that has changed. So let's look at that real quick. I'm sorry, guys. I know we were going to end this. So there's a, all right, let's go down here to this Peterbilt dealership. They got a couple of sleep triggers down there. Let's go look at that real quick, and then we're going to call this video. I apologize for that. I knew we were going to stop, but let's get out of here. Let's get our lights on. I could have just quick traveled down there. So I'm not sure if I'm supposed to go out this direction. All right. I'm not sure which light I'm supposed to follow coming out of here, so I'm just going to go ahead and go. Hope I don't hit nobody. Sorry, I know that's a weird thing for me to do right there. Map back where it belongs. So yeah, we'll right over there real quick. But yeah, like I said, I'm planning on adding other videos in. They may not be full-term series like I do with ATS and ETS and the Hot Shot series now. But it may be games that I just may, you know, play here and there. There won't really be any objectives most of the time. It'll be just to get on, goof off, and have a little fun. You know, like the cache cleaner game, I can start a new profile. There's a total of 3 endings. One's a hidden ending. I've done one of the regular endings, and I wouldn't mind seeing the other ending just to see what it's like. But you know, it's not as important. I get on there and I keep playing on the one that I'm on and just doing jobs. I mean, the stories are over. In theory, the game is done. It's finished. I've already beat the game more or less. But you know, I would like to see the other ending, and I do enjoy playing the game at times. You know, it's just kind of, for me, it's kind of a chill game. I don't have to rush usually. More or less, you take these jobs on there, and they want, for example, like the last one I just did, they wanted 325,000 euros in 20s. So, and then they want it wrapped in plastic blocks, and then they wanted it in a medium box, which it didn't fit in a medium box. I had to buy several medium boxes. So, the wait time and the rush on that one was just running around, grabbing all the money, getting everything organized, and then throwing it all in the boxes and shipping them out the belt. And but they always send you money, and the one thing they didn't want was they didn't want any marked money, which would have like markings for, like, say, police and gangs and so on. They didn't want to have no markings on it. So I was expecting a shipment with a lot of markings. So Um, but the money came in. It was wet. I had to dry it, and then I had to go through and sort it. And I usually start out by sorting it by currency, because in the game there's 4 currencies, and I got a way to sort that, and then I run it through the marked machine, which looks for marked money, and then I go from there over to actually sorting the money and packing them in 100 packs of hundreds, 50s, and 20s. And of course, most of that was, I would say, like 90% of that was 20s, of course, but it I got it done, and that part took a couple out. I wouldn't say a couple hours, maybe an hour, hour and a half. Um, and I wasn't in no hurry at that point. Now, some of the jobs you take, you'll have like so many in-game hours to complete stuff. Usually it's like 24 or 25 hours or something like that. But I try to take jobs where I already have that kind of money on hand. I've only goofed up a couple of times and grabbed the wrong stuff, or wrong missions. So, I might throw that into the YouTube mix just as something different. Satisfactory, if I do Satisfactory, it'll be probably single player. If I do any multiplayer videos of Satisfactory, it'll probably be live streamed with some of the people that I play with. So that stuff pretty well varies. So let's see here. That's your build is here. We got to turn right here. Let's go in here and see if we can check out this rest trigger. A couple places in here we can do this at, but it's one of these places. These are a pain in the butt to get out of. So the proper way. So the parking is here to my right, and there's also parking up here, kind of in front of the building to the edge. So I'm gonna sneak up here like so. Should pop up in a minute for the rest stuff. I'd say it should. There we go. Okay, there's the rest here. So shut our motor off. Did it again. That button is messed up. I gotta look at that thing. All right, so now that we're on here, so this is the change that they made here. Now there's some compiled info here. So the rest will meet the mandatory break requirements. The next one will be in 14 hours. For every 14 hours of driving, you must take a mandatory break up for at least 10 hours to avoid getting fines. So it's saying my mandatory rest break is in 14 hours, which is odd because I know it wasn't looking like that. I think that's if I take this 10-hour break. So if I go and do 9, I'll be over. I won't be in compliance, I think. Yeah, so this is how this works. So if I put it at 1 hour, our mandatory break will still be in 7 hours and change. And yeah, it just goes down as you go. But then once we hit this 9-hour rest mark, we haven't had enough rest. So our mandatory break will still be in the red. And then if we do an actual 10-hour break, it gets us fully rested again, and we're ready to start our day. So that's the change here, if I'm understanding that right. Now, you guys that do the sleep stuff, if I'm wrong, let me know. Hit me up in Discord, or leave comments below, however which way you'd like to do it. But if I'm wrong on that, let me know. And I'll even change it in the title or description or something to say that I was wrong. But this is kind of just how I'm understanding it, guys. And this is kind of the new change. This is the new look. So those of you that are playing ATS, Kiwi, I'm kidding, man. This is going to be your new screen here pretty soon. So anyhow, guys, so that's pretty much all that in a nutshell. I probably will turn the resting back off now that I kind of see what it does. So it just kind of is what it is on all that. But hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I know this is kind of a longer one. We're almost at 35 minutes here. But it's just, it is what it is. So anyways, hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.